As promised, we're going to be breaking down the Indiana Fever blowing another 30-point lead. I made a positive video yesterday. Now we have to get to all the negative stuff. Now, the Fever did end up winning the game, but yo, you cannot be up as much as 28 points in a game, and in that same game, the other team comes back and takes the lead. The Phoenix Mercury took the lead from the Indiana Fever. That is terrible. You cannot be up that much points and not be able to stop the bleeding. That is the biggest issue I have with this team. When the Indiana Fever came out in this game, they were playing very, very fast. They were pushing the pace, and that is what got them a big-time lead. They were playing faster than the other team, and it gave them a big 20-plus point lead. So when the other team decides to make an adjustment, and they start picking up their pace on the defense side of the basketball, and they match your pace on the offense side of the basketball, you as a team, you have to make another adjustment. You can call it a counter adjustment, or another way to say it is you have to stop the bleeding. When the other team decides that they're gonna start cooking and they decide to make an adjustment, you have to make a counter adjustment. And so many times we see the Indiana Fever not make that counter adjustment, and I think that's why the Indiana Fever consistently blow big time leads. Look, we're just going to get straight into this video. I want you to check out this first play. Look, Natasha Cloud makes a 3-point shot. The Indiana Fever end up inbounding the ball, but look at Caitlin Clark going to inbound it. She's just walking. She's kind of just irritated. You can tell she's irritated. She might be tired. I don't know, but look at her bringing the ball up the court. She's bringing it up all slow. The way Caitlin Clark dribbles his ball up the court, it seems like she's tired. It seems like she's exhausted. Look, she was pushing the pace earlier in the game, and now it seems like she's tired. She's taking her foot off the gas. They've collectively, as a team, decided to run this slow down set offense, and it leads to a contested 3-point shot that is a brick. That's what this play leads to. What I want you to see from this play is that the Phoenix Mercury are getting into a groove. Look, when you're up big time, you do not want to allow the other team to see the ball go in. You don't want to see them get a little bit of momentum, and that's exactly what happens. But look, the score is what the score will be going into halftime. It is 37-54. That's a 17-point game going to halftime. Right now is when the Phoenix Mercury are getting into a groove. So over halftime, this is when you stop the bleeding. This is a prime time to come into halftime, have a pep talk, and get your team to stop this bleeding, to make an adjustment, and not allow the other team to get into a groove because you still have a 17-point cushion. Now, obviously, if you watch the game, you know that's not what happened. The Indiana Fever have some pep talk in the back, but obviously it was not effective because the Indiana Fever looked way worse starting that third quarter than they did in the end of that second quarter. Look at the first play of the second half, man. Kalia Copper runs past the Indiana Fever players to the rim, and you can already tell what team has more energy. It's subtle, but if you look, the Indiana Fever look a lot slower than that Phoenix Mercury team. The way Kalia Copper got to that rim shows that she wanted it more, and it does not seem like the Indiana Fever have come into this third quarter energized. When I first saw this play, I thought it was stagnant offense. It was looking bad. Caitlin Clark brings the ball up the court, and literally nothing's going on. Doing all this movement, and you're not getting Caitlin Clark open at all. You're not getting Aaliyah Boston open. What is all this for? And I realized they're trying to get the ball to Alyssa Smith on the low post. The main objective of the Indiana Fever coming into the second half should have been to do what got us success. We should be trying to replicate the great success from the first quarter and the early part of the second quarter. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but early in that first quarter, I don't recall any Alyssa Smith post-ups. Alyssa Smith is not the reason you got a big-time lead, so why are we going to this? If the objective is to do what got us the lead early, then we should be doing whatever we can to do what got us the lead early. So why are we writing up plays to give the ball to Alyssa Smith on the low post? Like, for one, it's not what got us the lead. For two, that's not a good shot. Like, Alyssa Smith, there's like a 40% chance she's going to make a post-move shot. And she ends up passing the ball to Kelsey Mitchell in the corner because the time's running out and she doesn't have anything. And this is just a bad shot. It's just a lost play for no reason. Now, look at Brittany Griner down on that low post. This is a great shot, but I think the contest from Aaliyah Boston could have been a little bit better. But I want you to look at the defense. It's just bad defense. Kelsey Mitchell comes to help, and her man is left wide open. So Brittany Griner could have just passed that ball to the wide open player that Kelsey Mitchell has left. And why is Kelsey Mitchell coming to help on Brittany Griner in the first place? I know it's called rotation, but at the end of the day, what could Kelsey Mitchell possibly do down there to stop Brittany Griner from doing what she's trying to do? I just, at the end of the day, I don't know, y'all. I don't know. Now, look at this next play. Caitlin Clark gets down to the low post, and she is not able to get what she wants. I think she's trying to get a fadeaway, or maybe she's trying to get a layup, but it is blocked off. But I want you to look at the other Indiana Fever players. Why are you just sitting on the three-point line looking at her? You're just looking at her. Nobody's coming to get the ball. No backdoor screens. No nothing. You're just sitting there looking at her. This is stagnant offense. And this ends up leading to Aaliyah Boston thinking, I don't even know what this was. I have no diagnosis for this issue besides bullcrap. This is a hocus pocus bullcrap shot. What are we doing? Now, what you'll notice on the other side of this play is that this is a turnover for the Phoenix Mercury. And I think right here, right now, this is where I call timeout if I'm Chrissy Sides. Look, my team looks terrible on offense. Let me call timeout so you guys can go back into the game knowing what the heck I want you to do. But look, Chrissy Sides does not call timeout right here. She doesn't call timeout. She lets this go on. Now, look at this next play. Caitlin Clark brings the ball up the court and she gets a turnover. Caitlin Clark had a few turnovers over this stretch, and early in the game, she didn't have really any turnovers. And what I'm noticing about Caitlin Clark is that she gets a whole lot of turnovers, for one, when she's tired, and for two, when her spirits go down. She gets demoralized. Now look at what happens. This leads to 2 free throws on the other side of the court, and Chrissy's side still doesn't call timeout. If you had a 28-point lead in this game and the other team cuts the lead to 17 points going into the third quarter, you should be like, okay, let's go back to what got us the 28-point lead. And you can tell from the first few plays in this third quarter that the Indiana Fever are not going back to what gave them success in the first quarter. So the question stands as, why hasn't Chrissy Sides called timeout? Why hasn't she stopped them and told them to do what got them success early in this game? We need to stop the bleeding. It does not take 20 minutes for you to assess that your team is not stopping the bleeding. Call timeout. Once again, we're doing the wrong things. We're giving the ball to Aaliyah Boston on the free throw line, and that ends up being a turnover, and that leads to 2 points on the other end. I'm wondering why Chrissy Sides didn't call timeout before this. She calls timeout here, but now it's a 9-point game. In today's basketball, a 9-point lead is nothing. Look, I don't know if Chrissy Sides thought she was being safe by calling timeout before things get really bad, but bro, things already got really bad. Once the lead goes below 15 points, it's a ball game. Like once it gets to 14 points, 13 points, oh yeah, they're back in the game. That's just 3 3-point shots. That's literally it. I think coming into this third quarter, the Indiana Fever should have made an adjustment. They didn't make an adjustment. And I think after a couple plays, Chrissy Sides should have called timeout. But she waits 3 minutes before she calls timeout, and she watches her team go downhill. Now, we got to give Kelsey Mitchell some props, because when things were going underwater, Kelsey Mitchell was the one that steadied the ship. Look at this big-time shot right here. That is a pure bucket from Kelsey Mitchell, and she is a big-time reason why the Indiana Fever were able to get this win. She comes in clutch later in this game in the fourth quarter, getting the Indiana Fever the lead, but she also came in clutch right here to not allow things to go too far south. She steadied the ship, and I love these big-time shots from Kelsey Mitchell. This is why we want her back next season. Now, look at this next play. Kalia Copper comes off this screen, and Aaliyah Boston is in this drop coverage position, and she's just backpedaling. Why is she backpedaling? Why are you moving back? Step up and stop the shooter from shooting. I don't know what's the point of even contesting if you're like, why have your hand up if you're not going to step up? I don't really know, y'all. I don't know. This is just terrible. Now it's an 8-point game. Now look at this defense from the Indiana Fever. We're going to leave a sharpshooter wide open in the corner. What are we doing here? For one, Demiris Dantas is too far up. Why is she so far up? Demiris Dantas is too far up, and I can just tell she doesn't know what she's supposed to be doing. Katie Lou Samuelson is in her position. Katie Lou Samuelson is supposed to be over in that corner area to stop the shooter from shooting that shot that she shoots. But no, she's down in the paint because Demiris Dantas has stepped all the way up on the pick and roll to kind of contest. I don't even know what's happening. The rotations are off. Everything's off. I can't even tell you what's wrong because this is not, I don't even know if this is zone defense. What defense are we supposed to be playing here? This is just terrible. We left the corner 3-point shooter wide open. Now, look, I'm smiling, y'all, because this next play is just stupid, yo. Demiris Dantas, we've talked about it on this channel before. She's a great offensive player, but her defense just is random. I don't know what she's doing, but she crashes into Kalia Copper. That's a wide open 3-point shot in the corner, though. And this is terrible. It's a 4-point game now. We should have stopped the bleeding a long time ago. We never did. I don't know what's going on, but yo, what is this? She crashed into Kalia Copper. We got to do better. We got to do better. We got to do better. Now, the Indiana Fever do go on to win this game, and it starts with this shot right here. This is a big-time shot from Katie Lou Samuelson, but you'll notice that Kelsey Mitchell is telling Caitlin Clark to shoot the basketball, and I think everybody was thinking the same thing, like, shoot the ball. Like, you have a shot, but she passes to Katie Lou, big-time shot. That gives you an 8-point lead going into the fourth quarter that is very needed. Now look at this next play. Caitlin Clark comes off a screen and she hits this big time shot. This is what she was doing earlier in the game. One thing I noticed is that early in the game, Caitlin Clark was shooting the ball better than she did in the third quarter, but I did notice that Caitlin Clark didn't shoot as many shots as she did in the first quarter and the third quarter. She stopped shooting. I like to see Caitlin Clark shoot the ball because that's what got them the lead. Just shoot it. Now look at this next play. Kelsey Mitchell finds it in the corner. What a big time shot. Sharp shooter Kelsey. We love to see it. Man, she and Caitlin Clark were spectacular in this game. Kelsey Mitchell, I don't think I've seen Kelsey Mitchell's shot be that on like we saw it last night. Her shot was pure. It was butter. She probably was training over the Olympic break. I bet Caitlin Clark was probably training over the Olympic break. I don't know why I'm saying probably. They were obviously training, but what I mean is they were probably giving a little bit more effort into their training over the Olympic break. They were working on their shot, and it is evident in this game. Now look at this next play. Kelsey Mitchell hit this shot again, and I was like, oh shoot. Look, Caitlin Clark be shooting the ball like Steph Curry. I talked about it in my last video. Kelsey Mitchell be shooting that jump like Klay Thompson, yo, because she is hitting these shots. I'm like, what? I was going crazy. How's she hitting this? Now check out this next play. The defense makes a lapse at the end there, leaving Lexi Hole wide open, and she cashes in on the tray. I love to see it from Lexi Hole. She is a dog. I love to see how she played in this game. She played with defensive intensity, was running around the entire court all game. Everybody did what was needed to win this game. I didn't really break it down, but this is what happened. These are the highlights of the end of the game. But look, that's where I'm going to end this video off. I hope you guys enjoyed. I certainly did. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. I don't really have an outro here besides, yeah, I'll see y'all tomorrow probably because the Indiana Fever take on the Seattle Storm, and that game really will tell us whether or not the Indiana Fever are a real playoff team. Anyway, peace out.